with a trug and some little snippers. Moving over here. If you have any hellebores in your garden, now's the time to cut back just these leaves. As you can see, the flowers are just emerging, coming up. Okay, here's your hellebore. And you can see these big ugly old leaves that need to be taken away to give these some light. So, be very careful and come down. As you can see, just snip around here. So you're taking away these ugly. Being very careful not to damage the flower too much, if at all. Such a beautiful flower, hellebores. Always look very, very pretty in the winter months, especially this time of year when everywhere's dreary like today. But somehow it just cheers you up a little bit to see some life going on here. So always make sure you don't take every single leaf away. Just take away the ugly ones that are crowding out. You can see which ones are the older, untidy ones. I'm crossing over. Yep. Okay. So after a few minutes of tidying up the leaves, all of a sudden we see the flowers much better. You can see that everything's much more area down here. They've got more room to come up and more flowers are still in bud that will show off their pretty little heads as well in due course. I've still left the odd leaf on to give some nice photosynthesis and just to keep everything in balance. You can see everything's a little bit more balanced now, much tidier and clearer. Nice to see the soil again, get rid of all the leaves. A good exercise just to tidy up just a small area, and all of a sudden it just comes to life. Makes me feel better, and it makes an area of my garden look tidier, and it only took 10 minutes. After clearing this the other day, it's really spurred me on now to keep on with the garden. So the next border over here in the corner by the front door, as you can see, needs a little bit of attention. So what I'm going to do to make it tidier, I'm going to cut back this pheasant grass quite far back. Get my snippers, show you. Pretty straightforward. Now is a good time to start cutting back. If you have any grasses, quite satisfying, just giving them a good haircut really, and they come away nice and quickly. This one tends to seed itself everywhere. As you can see, it's seeded quite happily here. If you like moving things around, you can pull it out gently where it's seeded itself, and as you can see there's a nice bit of root there which you can then plant on somewhere else in the garden if you want to have a few more babies around. I'll leave that there, carry on. So as you can see, this is clumped quite nicely. Now if I wanted to, I could probably dig this out and split it and make it into a bigger section in this corner. At the moment, my intention right now is to focus on getting this whole border tidy first. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do in the border, as you can see, the ground is looking a bit compacted, a bit sorry for itself. What I'm going to do is just use a fork lightly and just on the top surface to just lift the soil a little bit, and straight away it just brings a bit of life and a bit of air back into the ground so it doesn't feel too heavy and compact. What I'm going to do is work throughout this border and do the same everywhere, clearing up all the leaves, cutting back. You can see over here, underneath this acer, I've got some old Japanese anemones here, so I'll be cutting them back to the ground, very close to the ground here. So I'll be snipping them off just at this level here, so nice back to the ground. Any green leaves, these are some nice euchres, so this I will leave for the minute as they look tidy. This ground cover geranium here, what I will probably do is just using my fork, just gently pull out these little wispy bits. You won't get all of them, but what it'll do is it'll just make it look a little bit tidier. And if you want, you can snip back the edge if you don't like it to come too much over. As you can see, this has come over quite a bit into this section, so it might be quite nice to control it. It doesn't matter, you can snip off these little bits just to keep it compact within its space. One last thing to do is to water them in. Give them a good start. And then very pretty. They really are cheery little things, primroses, sorry. All I've got left to do now is to just brush around this area, and then it's time to go in for a nice cup of tea. Come on, Digger.